Jeopardy has been described by many as the best quiz game show of all time, and it's not hard to see why. Its current run has been going on for over 30 years, thanks to great question writing and expert hosting by Alex Trebek. Because this is the Games of 90, we usually only take a look at what's happened between 1989 and 1991, at least those seasons anyway. So, what happened during that time for Jeopardy?
This is Jeopardy! Now entering the studio are today's contestants. A librarian originally from Cleveland, Ohio, Elaine Hyla. A word processing teacher from New York City, New York, Ray Ivey. And our returning champion, an attorney from Queens, New York, Mitch Palusik, whose one-day cash winnings total $11,801. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Johnny Gilbert. Ladies and gentlemen, hi everyone, and welcome again to our show.
Honestly, not a whole lot. Unlike Wheel, which always had the need to add more and more wrinkles to the game to make it feel fresh, Jeopardy didn't need to. All they did during the time was spruce up the board a bit. You wouldn't see any major changes to the show until September of 1991 when the set got modernized, and until 2001 when the dollar amounts got doubled. However, during this time period, you did see some notable contestants. Tom Cubbage would gain fame by becoming the first person to win the college tournament and the gigantic trophy. I gotta admit, that is a sweet trophy. However, he would parlay that into winning the 5th Tournament of Champions in November of 1989 and take home the $100,000 grand prize. Winning both the college tournament and the Tournament of Champions is a feat that hasn't been duplicated since and put him in many alumni tournaments. Frank Spangenberg is another big-time winner on Jeopardy, even holding the record for the most won in 5 days with $102,597 and the then one-day record with $30,600. Because of the cap that had been placed during this time, he could only keep $75,000 of that, and the rest he donated to charity. Ever since then, he's been a staple in alumni tournaments, and even winning the 10th anniversary tournament in 1993. And that brings us to the main fixture of this video, and that is the big Super Jeopardy Tournament. The first ever gigantic alumni tournament ever to be held for this run of Jeopardy. The history of how this aired can be tied back to the first Games of 90 review that we did in Monopoly. Merv Griffin pitched the gigantic summer tournament to the networks with Monopoly as a package deal. With Monopoly just being fresh off as being unsold at that year's NATPE conference, only ABC was willing to take the big tournament, giving game show fans a huge tournament in Super Jeopardy and a middling show in Monopoly. With that being said, let's watch Super Jeopardy!
This is Super Jeopardy! The continuing $250,000 challenge. Now entering the studio are the champions. An attorney from Pomona, California, Keith Walker, whose cash winnings total $41,700. A communications consultant originally from Appleton, Wisconsin, Kathy Bob, whose winnings total $44,200. An actor from Oak Park, Illinois, Paul Rupa, who has won $51,100. And a foreign policy analyst from Reston, Virginia, Mark Lowenthal, with winnings of $149,901. And now, here is the host of Super Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Johnny Gilbert. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again. This time to the first match of the second flight of games in this summer's Super Jeopardy for $250,000. As you know, this is an invitational tournament.
Super Jeopardy, aka the $250,000 Challenge, was the first big-budget alumni tournament the show had that wasn't your basic yearly Tournament of Champions. The premise was that you'd see 35 of the current versions of Best and Brightest, along with one Fleming version big winner, compete in a big tournament in order to determine who is the best. It's a great idea in theory, but in practice, not so much. The first major change that you saw in Super Jeopardy is that instead of the traditional 3-player setup, you now have 4 players at one time. There are multiple rumors as to what caused the addition of the 4th player. I've heard rumors that ABC wanted this change so they could get a bigger number of players and make the game more meaningful. I also heard that Merv Griffin wanted this change so that champions such as Frank Spangenberg and Bob Blake would be able to play before their Tournament of Champions appearances, which was slated for the fall. It's probably a bit from those. However, I'm not much of a fan of this change. I just thought the 4th player edition was a bit silly and made the set look pretty cramped compared to the just right field that had with just 3 podiums. It should also be noted that the 4-player format was only available for the first round of play. In the semis and the finals, it was back to the traditional 3-player format. So if the 4-player format was to be some sort of hook, why discard it for the semis and the finals? The next major change is the scoring of the game. Instead of playing for cash, they played for points. You know, nothing wrong with that. That's how the tournaments have been done since the first Trebek tournament, save for the finals. The next major change is the scoring of the game. Instead of playing for cash, they played for points. You know, nothing wrong with that. That's how the tournaments have been done since the first Trebek tournament, save for the finals. They also increased the amounts on the board. The first one went from 100 to 500 to 200 to 1,000. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's a simple double and adds to the mystique that the tournament is bigger than your standard tournament of champions. Double Jeopardy's amounts got a boost too. Instead of 200 to 1,000, it's now 500 to 2,500. This is a change I am not a fan of at all. It almost makes the first round seem pointless. It's like how Body Language had their scoring format where a contestant can win the game without scoring a thing in the first round of play. And that worry was founded because there was actually a big blowaway in the first game of the series that wouldn't have happened if the amounts stayed the same. Thankfully, the rest of the games didn't have blowaways, although some did come close, including the final game. One thing I did like throughout the tournament was some of the clips used for the contestant interviews, which gave us some of the contestants' best moments, such as Bob Verini's impressions of Julia Child and lip-syncing to old-time rock and roll. In the finals, they had interviews what they were doing post-Jeopardy, and I thought that was really cool. It also looked like the set was much slicker than it was usually, especially with the dark black floor around the set. It was made to look like a primetime game show and excel in that look. I just wish it had the heart of the syndicated version though, and looking back at it now, it just came off as flat to me rather than something exciting. The premise was executed better for the $1 Million Masters Tournament and the Decades Tournament, since they were made to be more and more like the already established Tournament of Champions format and easier to comprehend. The Super Jeopardy Tournament was only done once, despite the wish of Alex Trebek on the final show. Although the Super Jeopardy Tournament left me somewhat cold, I will say that Jeopardy is still fantastic, even more so to this day, because they didn't need to change the format. All they did was just stick with what they had, update the set and the music, and it's fantastic now. Even more so than Wheel of Fortune is today. I'm even going back and watching the most recent tournament champions with Austin Rogers, Buzzy Cohen, and it's a fantastic Tournament of Champions. Once it repeats in the summer, please check it out again. It is a fantastic tournament. Lots of drama and lots of emotion. That's going to do it for this edition of the Games of 90. We're going to stick with Alex Trebek next time when we talk about classic concentration. Until next time, bye-bye.